Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO.
Always a pleasure to have you with us on the weekends for Missoula Real Estate Today. Thank you so much. Going to talk insurance today, important insurance information, with Julie Maloney, Sales Executive with Payne West Insurance. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Thanks, Denny. Happy to be here.
Is this your first visit, I think, right?
It is, yes.
All right. And then the old pro over there, we can sort of see each other on the other side of the computer monitor, Erika Close, also a Sales Executive with Payne West. Welcome back to the show to you.
Thank you so much. I don't know how I feel about you calling me old.
Old pro. That's different. That's different. But we'll start with the old pro there. Just a refresher course, Erika, to get reacquainted. Tell us a little bit about Payne West Insurance.
Sure. Almost 2 years ago, April 1st, 2 years ago, we became part of Marsh McLennan Agency. Mm-hmm. So we're still your local agents, but we are part of a very large global presence of independent agents. We're licensed in all 50 states, and we represent multiple lines of business.
Did you find it gave you a lot of more flexibility, more tools in the toolbox when that transition occurred?
Yes, it definitely opened up a lot of different tools, a lot of information. We're able to dig deeper on research when we need to know different things about fire departments and areas and stuff like that.
It was probably kind of a learning experience for you too, huh?
Yeah.
Got a little extra on-the-job training there on the fly.
Old dog, new trick.
Well, Judy, since we're on Diane's real estate show, let's start with homeowners insurance. What questions you ask the customers to get a feel for what policy is best suited for them? Because obviously there are so many.
There are a lot of options. We like to really get to know our clients and what their lifestyle is, what they do for a living, their family, their hobbies, their interests, and what they get involved in, so that we have a full picture of who they are and then can direct us in the right direction for which carrier would be best suited for them.
What are some examples of what you might learn when you do that? I imagine it's, number of adults, number of children, the size of the family, the size of the home, the number of vehicles. I suppose there are a lot of things that you learn that are a little bit different each time.
Yeah, every time it's a little different. Ask about any animals or pets that they might have, and sometimes you get an interesting answer about a pet. Like they might have a pet pig or something instead of just a dog that you're looking at.
Yeah. Do you insure pet pigs by any chance?
That doesn't really increase your liability. Like cows and horses you ask about because, accidents happen with cows and horses.
Probably doesn't come up a lot, but hey, you never know in the insurance biz. Any trends or popular options that customers are looking for in home insurance policies right now? Anything changed over the last couple of years?
Yeah, we can both chat a little bit about
this. Sure, please do.
I'm going to let Julie take cyber first because she has history working in the cyber industry, but that is something that's a hot topic right now.
Yeah, it's really nice because a lot of homeowners policies are now offering cyber protection, which people don't think much. I mean, they think about it probably more at work than they do in their personal life, but it often can happen where something pops up on your screen, your home screen, your home computer, saying, "Oh, you need to send us this money so we can unlock it," which that's just somebody phishing trying to get your money from you. If you fall into that trap, the cybersecurity insurance helps refund or helps protect that money that you may have spent. Or if you have teenagers or kids that are out on social media,
right, and
something occurs in a bullying incident, it can help with legal protection and all that kind of stuff. And it's that world today that we have to be very cognizant of those things happening.
Is what you're referring to in part, like say, identity theft is what comes to my mind.
Yeah, identity theft as well. That can happen very easily when you're out online.
So you can do all the pre-education in the world, but you're absolutely right. I mean, some of the stuff that, especially when you're a big media company like Town Square Media, some of the stuff that comes in, it just looks so legit, and we are coached constantly about, don't open that, don't open that. So I guess all the pre-education in the world. That's good, but I imagine you run into cases where people still either by accident or innocently thinking, oh, okay, this is all right. Open it up and look out from there.
Yeah, I mean, you can put as many protections in place, but there's still a human sitting at the keyboard. And there's so many different vectors that cyber criminals can enter into your life and get your information.
Yeah. How about you, Erica? And what other popular options are kind of going down these days?
I have a claim example on cyber right away too. That this happened locally.
Okay,
is somebody
good.
was going to Airbnb and renting a home for a family vacation. It was a large home because a lot of people were coming from different parts of the country. They were using a reunion. They clicked on the link that looked like it was on Airbnb and rented the house and sent a large sum of money to somebody that it was not that. And they had this cyber protection, and it's a process to work through, but they were actually able to get their money refunded.
Wow.
Through their insurance, not from Airbnb that was like, no, that took you to somewhere other site. You did not actually purchase that from us. You should have been aware.
You don't have to get specific if you don't want to, but is that a fairly expensive or a fairly inexpensive insurance to get?
It's quite inexpensive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just those companies that like a Pure or a Chubb for homes over $1 million. There is middle market or average customer like us companies that are offering that now, and it's under $100 a year.
I know that something that's really important to talk about in lots of parts of the country, but certainly in an area like western Montana, wildfire issues, they're going to come up. And how does Payne West tackle that one?
Gosh, wildfire is the constant headache right now. Insurance companies more and more are using third-party services to determine brush scores, and sometimes they don't seem overly logical, but obviously there's data to say that this subdivision is susceptible to a wildfire based on this, and this. And we have other markets to work with when that comes up, and other companies that will accept risk like that, but homeowners just really need to be aware and responsible and prune trees and be good stewards of their land, because wildfire is probably not going away anytime in the next few years. It's definitely a driving factor in rates on insurance because we all see the news.
Yeah.
Whole towns taken out because of wildfire.
It's
And
sad.
it is interesting because being native Montanans and seeing like what they're saying is wildfire, it does leave us a little perplexed at times of like, how can they say that? Which then, of course, our insureds are also thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guests, Julie Maloney and Erika Close. They are sales executives with Payne West Insurance here in Missoula. Another one that I find interesting because it comes up, of course, in the course of our work day in broadcasting and flood insurance issues, because it's one of those things that I'm sure, like other forms of insurance, you don't buy flood insurance 20 minutes before the flood, right?
No, and it's the time of year to think about it, right?
Yeah, and I imagine that catches a few people off guard.
Flood insurance, unless you're purchasing a new home, oftentimes when you're purchasing a new home and it's required by the lender, there's no waiting period. Other than that, there's a 30-day waiting period.
30-day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of some people buy it every year because it's required. Some people purchase it when they think that there's more snowpack or a better chance of flooding that year. It's something that's hard to predict, but keep in mind that it is a 30-day waiting period. You can't buy it on Tuesday and have your house flood on Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. You mentioned too, I said to ask you about equipment breakdown as far as insuring that. Julie, you going to take that one? What do you mean by that?
Erika might be better versed at the equipment breakdown than I am.
Okay.
So it's a newer concept on a homeowner's policy. It's not really a home warranty, but it kind of almost sounds like it when you talk about it.
Yeah.
And multiple companies are offering it. And let's say that you maintain your furnace, and you have records to say you honestly maintain your furnace. You have it serviced every 1 year, 3 years, whatever is recommended by the manufacturer. Something sudden and accidental happens to that furnace, and it can be covered on your homeowners and not count as a claim against you. It's usually a smaller deductible, like $500, and it covers amounts up to $25,000, $50,000, or even $100,000 for equipment in your home. A lot of the policies also cover like a lightning surge. If you lost a lot of your electronics, that would be sudden and accidental. A claims example, because everything makes more sense when you think about a claim, is
I like that.
a generator, a whole house generator. A client of mine had birds make a nest in it, and then their generator clicked on, and it destroyed it. And this coverage did cover it.
Wow. Yeah. So now you got to purchase equipment that keeps the birds out of the right?
Optional.
Yeah. Payne West bird insurance for the generator. Yeah.
I think we should chat about service line too, if you're up for it.
Please do.
So I think we probably get 10 calls a month that the city has sent out something saying, hey, you're eligible for service line coverage for those water lines that come into your house, because a home policy covers that box. It covers what's inside the house. Okay. When you get those, you should all call your insurance agent and see if that's an optional coverage at a lower cost from your insurance company right on your homeowners, because a lot of times it is. And again, it can be $25 to $60 a year, just throwing numbers out. You'd want to talk to the company, but it's inexpensive, and it can cover when those tree roots grow into those very old pipes bringing the water into your house.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that from the sidewalk to the home, those pipes and lines are the homeowner's responsibility. So if something does happen, they're on the hook for it, not the city or the utility.
How about, let me ask you about renters insurance and homeowners insurance, what we've been talking about, but renter and homeowner policies, how do they differ, and how are they similar?
They're similar in protecting personal property and liability. So if something should happen, if somebody gets hurt, that liability is still there, or personal property is destroyed, it's covered. Mm-hmm. But when it's a renter's insurance, there's no coverage on the actual dwelling itself. The owner of that dwelling, or who's renting it to you, should have a policy covering that.
Yeah. It's
really kind of the essential difference between the two.
Is there a lot of misconception about that? I mean, people are renting. Do you run into situations where they just assume that, well, I'm renting, so yeah, it was my sofa and it was my big screen and it was my kitchen table, but I rent, so my landlord's insurance has got that covered. Is that maybe that's not real common, but I would think you run into that from time to time.
It's really common, and we're also seeing right now some property management companies are saying that they have insurance, but it's not insuring the client's property. It's insuring the property management's liability piece of what is around there. So they're passing that cost to their clients.
Or it might have very limited coverage for contents of the home, but it's always a good idea to get your own independent proposal. I mean, they might be offering something for $11 a month, but renter's insurance is not expensive, and you should look at your own personal liability. A lot of us, $100,000 in liability, if you hurt somebody else, may not go very far. Or if you were legally responsible for burning down that house you're renting, $100,000 may not go that far, and you might want $500,000.
Now you're confusing me a little bit, though, now, because wouldn't a property you brought up an example, a property management company might say that they have insurance, but isn't a property management company managing on a property owned by somebody else, ergo that person, that would be the person that has the homeowner's insurance? I got a little bit confused. We added a middle person in there somehow, I think.
They're offering a supplemental policy so that people don't have to go out and shop for their own renter's policy. And the concept is really nice and cool, but you should be looking at what you're actually purchasing, if that makes sense.
It does now.
Yep.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guests, Julie Maloney and Erika Close, sales executives with Payne West Insurance. Thank you so much for listening this weekend. We appreciate you. Now, Can you explain actual cash value coverage and also replacement cost value, how they can affect insurance premiums?
Yes. Are you talking for the dwelling or for personal property, or both?
Well, let's start with dwelling.
Okay. Most homeowners' policies, whether you purchase it online or somewhere else or with an independent agency, or you've shopped around and talked about it, most of them anymore are replacement cost for that dwelling. If you have a loan, a bank definitely wants replacement cost for that dwelling. Actual cash value would be this home is 45 years old. It hasn't had any updates. It may have been worth $300,000 if we have to replace it, but your home is worth much less than that now. That's not something that you want. It is something, sometimes it's the only option when you have a home that is maybe in bad shape, but you still need to provide insurance or you want to have some protection for it. Or that if sometimes there's exclusions if it's vacant or for sale, and that's you can only get a lesser coverage at that point. Nobody's living in there. There's absolutely no furniture in there because there is a difference between vacant and unoccupied, if that makes sense. And sometimes an actual cash value policy is the only option. They're not always cheaper. Usually a nice maintained home will have better coverage and a lesser premium.
Can I interrupt you and ask you why that would be the only option? What's an example of why that might be the only option?
Yes. So recently there was an example that there was a home in disrepair. Somebody wanted to provide insurance on it just to make sure they didn't inherit it. The home had a roof that was in disrepair. It was boarded up where windows were missing, and it was just in poor condition. Something like that. And it happens. Or sometimes a home is part of an estate and nobody around town is checking on it and it's going to be sold and there's nothing left in it. Sometimes that's the only option.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But you should probably only have actual cash value on the dwelling if it's your only option.
Erika has brought some great examples, Julie. You're falling behind in the.
I don't have as many years of examples to get. I've been at it a year and 5 months.
Okay, well then we won't. I think it's like 3-0, but we won't worry about that right now. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO, and my guests Julie Maloney and Erika Close, sales executives with Payne West Insurance. Also, thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you the show every week. They are Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana, Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, and Carol Blodgett at MakeItMissoula.com. Back to Julie and Erika from Payne West here. What are some examples that you see often of where customers are likely uninsured?
Well, as you can imagine today, with the rising costs of supplies and labor,
Sure.
we're seeing a lot of homes that aren't insured to value or to that replacement cost value because of the rising costs of insurance. So this is a really good time for people to take a look at what their dwelling coverage A is to see if it really truly is the value of what it would take to replace the home. Not the market value, but what it would really cost to replace it. I also see a lot of people that don't have adequate life insurance. They're getting some sort of benefit from work, but it's not really enough to cover your family should something happen.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different places where we see that, or even just with teen drivers, not having enough liability insurance, or even having an umbrella policy, which I think we're talking about
Yeah.
next, actually.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you find it's often drastically low? I mean, you don't want to give the perception that you're just trying to oversell a client, but you two are looking out for their best interests. And to your point about rising costs of so many things, I would guess they're not only underinsured, they're significantly underinsured. Is that?
In some cases, but
Yeah.
a lot of our carriers are making adjustments at renewals right now. So people might be seeing some increases in their premiums, but they should double check to see that their dwelling coverage has gone up because of rates and everything rising so frequently.
All right. Now we get to the umbrella. Can you explain what umbrella insurance refers to, and what an example of that would be?
Umbrella covers, it just broadens and deepens your liability coverage should something occur. So when you hit your liability limits on, say, your home policy or your auto policy, then it kicks in over that to provide help even with legal stuff. Sorry, legal costs.
Yeah.
The word just wasn't coming to me. My brother-in-law actually shared an example of why he always wants to make sure that he has an umbrella. He had some family friends. They had a cabin in Oregon. Their son had a big party, and somebody got hurt, really hurt.
Yeah.
And the family of the kid went after the owners of the home and left them with almost nothing. I mean, they lost the cabin, and because they didn't have that extra coverage to protect them in a situation like that. So it's really important, and it's really not that expensive to
Quite
give the
inexpensive.
Yeah, it's pretty inexpensive to provide just another layer of protection to your lifestyle and your family.
Sure.
Another claim example for that would be a dog bite claim. And there's one out of our Bozeman office that I guess I have a lot of dogs. So this rings true with me. There's a newer baby in the house, and mother-in-law is staying there and providing care. And there is a puppy, and the puppy bit the mother-in-law, and it punctured in her hand in such a way that she had to have 4 surgeries. So it maxed out the liability on the homeowner's policy, just her medical costs. She was not trying to claim pain and suffering or anything else, but she had lost income from work and her medical costs, and it went into the umbrella. So it went over $500,000, and it was paying out of the umbrella because of medical surgeries because the dog bit her.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's just gosh, it leaves you dumbfounded. What are some of the things you find most, I guess this is a question for both of you, a question you find most rewarding about what you do? I guess, Julie, we'll start with you.
Getting to help people and help them understand the importance of insurance and what it all means. I mean, most people, we have a friend she said insurance for her is just sit it and forget it. But, like we were talking about the cyber coverage or service line coverage or even umbrella, helping people understand the things that are going to help protect them and their families and their lifestyle, and being able to provide that service and even help educate them and let them make those decisions, but making sure they have all the cards on the table. It's really satisfying to be able to help people.
Oh, very nice. Erika?
The same as what Julia said. I mean, it's fantastic to feel that you've provided somebody the knowledge to know at least what they're paying for. Insurance is more than just those numbers on a piece of paper. You're actually paying for something, and people don't realize what it includes. So I think that's huge. But also, as sad and awful and wonderful it is all in once, is that we get the opportunity to be there for people when something tragic happens and help guide them through that. And it's rewarding. It feels good to know that you're like, no, this is okay. We're going to get through it. Yeah. You have a policy that's going to cover replacing this stuff. No, we cannot replace the memories, but we can replace objects, or that, your auto policy is going to help provide the legal defense for what happened. And it's rewarding there.
I love the passion in your answers. That's great. I guess this is kind of a companion question here. I always ask my guests, as Erika may recall, about success stories. Any recent transaction or customer service assistance that you found particularly rewarding?
Yeah, so I was just able to help a couple. They have a home here, a home on a lake, and of course a boat and an RV and all those things. And they were just trying to see what they had. And I was able to provide them better coverage, higher coverages at a lower rate. And the lake place, of course, lakes are around forests. So
sure.
The carrier that we also worked with on that provides wildfire defense. In case something's coming, they can go and help prep the home to protect it if a wildfire is threatening them. And they've been referring people left and right, but it's been really great because it's somebody that I've known a really long time. And the lake is a very special place to my family as a whole. So it was really wonderful to be able to help increase limits and give them better peace of mind.
Nice. How about you there, Erika? Close?
Wildfires are a hot topic today, I guess. But the same thing, that there was a fire over this last year that came close to a client's house, and they were sitting on their boat watching wildfire defense trim trees and spray their house with fire gel. And when that's included in a policy, it does not cost extra. So it's such a win-win. And when you think about it, a home not burning down not only saves your memories, but it saves the insurance company money too, because they're not paying to replace the home.
You covered this a little bit, but I'll ask you to go into a bit more detail. I asked you about potential mistakes homeowners make when trying to cut costs and, being underinsured. Do you see customers making those kinds of mistakes with regards to insuring vehicles as well?
Yes, 100%. We talk about
that's
this
not a good batting average, is it?
we talk about this a lot in our office, that we're getting pretty broad out there in topics, but people will reduce their personal liability on an auto policy. The state requires $25,000 per person, $100,000 per accident. For most of us, that's not enough. If you hurt somebody else, to know that their medical bills are probably going to be more than $25,000.
Sure.
So the first thing people want to do when they want to save money is they want to bring down their liability limit from, it can go as high as $500,000. Some personal policies even go up to $1 million, and they'll want to decrease that. Something horrible that happens presents a bigger unknown, and that's where your liability comes in. If somebody cannot work for a year because of an auto accident, you don't know what that number looks like. A better idea is to maybe increase the deductible for comprehensive and collision on a car, because that is a set number. You know that if you have an auto accident or if you hit a deer, you're, instead of paying $500, you might pay $2,500.
Got it.
Again, that's a set number, and you can factor that in, where if you're in my car, I hit a deer and you get hurt, I don't know what that could look like as far as you cannot work and I am responsible for that. Or you had to go to the hospital. What does that number look like?
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guests are Julie Maloney and Erika Close, sales executives with Payne West Insurance. When somebody is shopping for insurance, what are some of the more common questions that you two get asked?
Well, as you can imagine, and we touched on a little bit earlier, is why is my insurance increasing? And again, because of cost of labor, rising costs of materials, and especially even with autos, supply shortages are really playing a big factor in that as well. Those are the biggest things. Or I just had somebody call and they went to call their insurance agent and the guy's pulled out of the state. And so he's confused and like, I didn't even get a notice about it. Yeah. And so I want to work with somebody local. That's happening a bit too.
When you think about the auto portion especially, there's no such thing as a small fender bender anymore, right? Yeah. I mean, how much do those sensors in your bumper cost? Somebody just told me one of theirs was $700.
Wow.
And then the supply chain, there was an auto accident, and unfortunately for me, my parents were rear-ended in August. They're fine. They weren't hurt.
Good.
But getting a rear door for their Volkswagen Jetta has now just came in. Plug for Rick's Auto Body. They've been amazing in talking to my parents all the time, but they can't get it any faster.
Yeah.
So that increases the cost of a rental car. It increases the cost of storing a car that's not being driven, and it makes auto insurance more expensive.
Your in the final minute or two here, your homeowner's manual. Let's quickly go over that homeowner's manual and a safety checklist. What are some of the key elements that can really help your customers?
First and foremost is knowing where the shutoffs are for your water, your electricity, and your gas.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because oftentimes you don't always know where that is. One time we were having problems at home at my house, and my dad tried to fix something, and the water just came spraying out, and we had no idea where the water shutoff was. So we're in a panic on the phone trying to figure it out. But it saves you a lot of heartache if you know where those things are.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guests have been Julie Maloney and Erika Close, sales executives for Payne West. In the final few seconds here, gals, contact information. How do we get a hold of you at Payne West?
This is Julie. I can be reached at 406-327-6506.
This is Erika Close, and I can be reached at 406-327-6587. And our office is out on Palmer Street, 2925 Palmer, right by Pacific Steel.
And how about website info? Anything there?
PayneWest.com.
Well, that's pretty simple, huh? We appreciate you coming on. Erika, thank you for coming back on Missoula Real Estate Today. Julie, your first time. Welcome. Thank you both for coming in. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit move2missoula.com. That's move2missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.